All right. Morning, everybody. Let's continue on with our settlement. Okay. We're looking at land use, urban land use theory today. All right. There's two main theories. We're going to look at a little third one as well. You got your date and objectives and stuff there to make a quick note of. Okay. Now, there's a little word. These two words, land use. Okay. Very, very simple, but confuses a lot of people. It is essentially what is the land used for. Okay, that's all it is. So if you want to add that above, I should have put it in your list of keywords, but I don't think it's there. Urban is cities. Okay, now as we've already said, as about 10 years ago, historically, most people lived in rural countryside areas. But in the last kind of about 10 years ago, I think it was 2011 was the first year ever that over half the world's population lived in cities. All right. Most of you live in or around Nassau, which is a city. Most of you will go to university or college in a city, because only really cities have universities or colleges. And the vast majority of you will live in cities, okay? It's where most people live now. So because of that, there's high competition, because there's so many people there. There's a very high competition between people, okay? And then wherever there's people, there will be companies trying to sell those people things. So in urban areas, you have a lot of competition for the land. So what we look at is how is the land used in cities, all right? Is there any patterns? What happens, all right? This also affects different things that we look at, like cost and space and quality of life and so on. So our keywords, right? First of all, urbanization, twilight zone, and commuting. They're your three keywords for now, okay? What is urbanization? All right, this is the increase in the proportion of people living in towns and cities. This is a global phenomenon. It's happening in everywhere around the world, where more and more people are now living in cities. All right, and it's not going to, if anything, it's going to speed up. Now, cities have been around for hundreds of years. It's not a new phenomenon. So the twilight zone, this refers to an area of a city which is going through a big change of function. The original function is slowly dying. All right, so within the cities, and where this gets a little bit confusing is we've already said how cities are very dynamic and constantly changing. All right, so some of the old functions from when a city established itself first are now changing completely. So some of the places, especially in the inner city, in the middle of cities, are now being changed into something else. All right, so those areas would be referred to as twilight zones. Commuting, we should all know, this is when people have to use a means of transport in order to get to their place of work each day. So again, in cities, people usually have to commute different distances. All right, if you live on the edge of the city, you have a long commute, and so on. Public transport has set up and revolutionized cities as well, and with its ability to move people around the place very quickly and easily. All right. We will also note down some keywords from one of the worksheets in a little bit. Don't worry about this bid rent down here, okay? We'll look at a worksheet shortly. So if we were to just look at a little passage, okay, you do not need to write this down. So again, urbanization is the process by which an increasing percentage of people live in towns and cities. All right, the main cause is migration, which we look at in a couple of lessons, all right, from rural areas. So people who grow up in countrysides now tend to move to the cities. It was actually 2007 the majority of the world's population lived in cities, and this number is expected to increase in the future. All right, so nearly all this growth is taking place in the poorer countries. All right, but it's still the cities are still growing in developed countries like America, Germany, France, Japan, England, so on. All right, so that's what the current trends are in the world. Now there are two main urban land use models. So with this many people coming into the cities, okay, they start to spread out and grow very, very quickly. And for that reason, people have started to kind of try and make models or theories about what exactly is happening. So we're going to read through page 42 of New Wider World, 42 and 43. All right, you'll need a pen and a highlighter. You can note down these two names. The two theories we will examine, just this little bit, that sentence and those two words, make a note of under your keywords. Before we do that, we're just going to look at some other keywords very quickly, okay? So I attached this worksheet, all right, it starts off like that at the top. I attached this worksheet to to your geography outline, the email I sent on Sunday evening, okay? There's 3 more phrases I want you to make a note of. Urban sprawl, urban renewal, and urban decay, okay? So urban sprawl, this is the spreading out of urban areas into surrounding rural areas. So urban sprawl is when a city grows by area. Remember we said that's one of the things a city does. It grows in population and by the area it covers. So the spreading out of an urban area into surrounding rural areas as new houses are required to house for the growing population. So more people come in, we need more houses, the city gets bigger. As the city gets bigger, more people are attracted in, it gets bigger again. The growth of the suburbs, okay, has been helped by increasing numbers of cars, enabling people to live further away from their home or from their place of work. All right, so again, commuting. So as more and more people grow in wealth and access cars, private vehicles, they can live further from home, causing the city to spread out. So you need to write down this one. Urban renewal, very simple, the replacement or renovation, okay, or redevelopment of declining old urban areas. So some of the urban areas are now old and run down, all right? So urban renewal is trying to make them new again. It's very slow and very expensive to do this, all right? So we'll talk about that a little bit later on. And the last one I want you to make a note of is urban decay, okay? So deterioration and decay, especially in older parts of the town. So what happens is over time, what's happened is some of the old parts of the city, people have decided it's not nice, they want to move out, they've got the money to live somewhere else now, and so on. If the people leave, business will leave. And then you're left with this urban decay, these parts of cities which are run down and disgusting. All right, if possible, it is possible to restore and renovate. So urban renewal happens after urban decay. The areas suffering the greatest decay are the regions where factories have been closed and become derelict. All right, so there used to be, most cities used to have a lot of factories right in the downtown center of them, and now that they're not needed anymore, okay, or there's been a shift in employment, those factories close down and they leave a big dirty warehouse behind, and it doesn't look great. Okay, so from this page you just need this bit written down under your keywords, and then we're going to jump to New Wider World. Okay, so on page 42 of New Wider World, okay, quite a bit to underline and quite a few notes to be made, right? Another little definition for urbanization there you can highlight, all right? The rapid growth of industry in the 19th century, all right, led to large-scale urbanization, especially in Europe and the USA. So when industrialization occurred, when the boom in factories and manufacturing and making things occurred, that's when cities really started to take off, okay? So when those factories that had jobs available, people would flock to that area, and it grew over time. During the 20th century, people continued to move to urban areas mainly for, and this is more recent reasons, better paid jobs, more variety of jobs, and nearness of places of work, entertainment, social life, better housing, better schools, better hospitals, and so on, okay? Even today, the vast majority of universities are found in cities. Think back to what we talked about the sphere of influence and functionality of urban areas. If you're going to have, what was it, you needed 10,000 people just to have a high school? Okay, imagine if you wanted to have a university. You're not going to find a university out in the middle of the countryside in a small village because there's not enough people. Okay? One of the universities I went to had 25,000 students. Alright, so it needed to be in a city of well over 1 million people just to ensure it had enough people going to it. So these are the factors, and think about yourself here, okay? This is what makes this topic very easy. You can apply your own experiences or future experiences to it. We all want a good paid job. We don't want to have to travel loads every morning for work. We like entertainment and having a good social life. We want the best schools for our kids. We want the best hospitals in case we get sick. All these things today are found in cities, and that's what attracts people in modern day urbanization, okay? So we're going to start off with our first. I'm just going to introduce the models, and then in the next video we'll go through them in more detail. Alright, it has been suggested that towns do not grow in a haphazard way or a just random pattern, alright, or random way, but rather they tend to develop with recognizable shapes and patterns. Alright, now each urban area is unique, but they do share similar characteristics. All cities contain the same things. Alright, they all contain a small bit of industry, a lot of offices and retail and shops, a lot of housing and residential, and a lot of entertainment. Okay, so while cities are all different in their own way, a lot of them share very similar characteristics and certainly similar land uses. All right, most cities have huge shopping malls, huge housing, amounts of housing, stadiums, green spaces, and so on.